You're in the 06010. Fantasy Focus.
What's good, friends? Welcome into Fantasy Focus Football alongside Field Yates and Mike Clay. My name is Daniel Dopp. Almost didn't get here this morning. I got to be honest. I got through security, but they didn't want to let me through at first. When I did my badge, they were like, are you sure you still have a job? Because Liz Loza did really well yesterday.
Well done,
Liz crushed it, by the way.
Great job, Liz. Yeah.
She's so awesome as she is. Love having her here in Bristol. Field, it's great to see your face.
Good to have you guys around again.
Mike, great to see you. I haven't seen you since Sunday, I think.
I know, it's been a long time. Has anything happened?
What's happened since then?
Nothing.
Anything going on?
Nothing important. Yeah.
Nah, no way. No way. Yeah, we had a bunch of things that happened, unfortunately. We talked about the Joe Burrow injury yesterday, dove into that. Obviously, waivers, so hopefully those are covered today. We are talking about a bunch of guys here on our Wednesday rankings show, a couple of guys that make Field nervous. We're also diving into, we're going to pay off. We're going to pay off our starts of the week. Mike, you lost last week. We'll tell you who lost this week in just a little bit. I also got a panic or patience. And Mike, I think you just brought a bunch of guys to the table you want to talk about.
I figured, you guys have all these specific categories you wanted to file guys into. And I just took the extra. I was like, you know what? Here's a few guys I'm interested in talking about, so that's what I'm going to do.
Guys, I want to talk about.
All right, I don't need any gimmicks. What's that in insurance? That's like no gimmicks, no mascots or whatever. The girls like to sing the
NJM.
Yeah, something like that.
I think
I don't
it's
know.
what
Can we
it
say
is?
that? I don't know if
I don't know if we're allowed to.
Confirmed.
Can't that's
Thanks
me.
Thanks for getting us in trouble, Mike.
Yeah, way to go. We've been on air for 65 seconds.
Already getting us in trouble. Way to go.
People don't know this. Liz is right here. Just wait
bring her back in.
Tap in. Like as soon as someone messes up, she jumps in, we jump out.
All right, well, speaking of messing up, Mike, your week one starts of the week were not as good as Field and I's. Let's just be honest about that.
In week one?
Week one, correct.
Yeah, they weren't as good in week one, but we stepped it up for week two.
Well, but we got to pay off week one before we dive into week two. I mean,
I was trying to skip this part.
You lost week one, so here's the deal. You've got to wear a jersey of Field and I's choosing. Field, what jersey do we have here on tap for Mike?
We have,
of course, it saes Field on there.
Connor Field, one of the best attackmen in the world in the PLL. A great season just concluded this past Sunday. Connor is a two-time PLL champion. He was once named the attackman of the year in college lacrosse, playing at University of Albany. The guy's an absolute sniper, and he's got a great last name, and absolutely love the jersey number as well. Truthfully, Mike, this does not feel like a punishment, but rather a reward.
It does.
So enjoy it, because I'm going to get more cruel going forward.
At first, I saw Fields, and I thought after his performance on Sunday, Justin Fields got demoted to like another league.
Stop.
So I thought that's what this was.
That would be good.
No, this doesn't feel like a punishment. This is
all right.
This actually is cool, but do not take that jersey at the end of it, please.
Yes,
I'm not asking for much, but don't take that jersey.
But you're not allowed.
It is a distinct New Jersey smell. Is that the punishment?
Well, I washed it for you. Yeah.
Really?
That's nice.
It's actually game worn.
Actually, maybe something smells in here.
It's
but
podcast worn
it actually
previously.
smells good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the podcast worn. Yes,
all right,
I have a podcast worn Field Yates shirt for at home. Yeah, in the card. You and Shefty both have some cards within the Allen and Ginter series.
I changed my mind. I'm keeping it.
Okay,
that looks pretty good.
I feel kind of jacked.
Mike, I was going to say, unfortunately, it looks really good on you.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
I'm kind of liking it.
All right, well, hopefully you guys don't step up the punishments for me, because when we look at week two, I mean, Mike, that's hardly a punishment. But when we look at week two, seems pretty clear, unfortunate, that I came up short in part because Ricky Pearsall, only 9.2 fantasy points. You guys both had some really nice lineups. I had a better tight end, and you guys had better everything else.
I mean, honestly, I didn't have a nice lineup. I had a sick lineup.
You had a great lineup.
I dominated Mike by 10 points. I dominated Daniel by 20.
You're 2-0. You're 2-0.
Am I
You're winning
dynastic? Yeah, I'm 4-0 if you think about it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I guess if we're playing by victory points as well.
So
We're
just to
doing the
pay
wheel
it
right
off,
now.
for those that are listening right now and not watching, both Mike and I started Drake May at quarterback. Daniel started Justin Herbert. If we can call that back up one more time. I had
Jalen Warren at
Javonte
running
Williams at running back. Mike had Jalen Warren. And
I had
Daniel
David
had
Montgomery. Yeah.
Wide receivers, me, Keenan Allen, Mike, Zay Flowers, Daniel, Ricky Pearsall. And then at tight end, Kyle Pitts for me, David Njoku for Mike. And nice call by Daniel with Jawan Johnson in week 2. A reminder, each of these players is outside a specific threshold. If we wanted to do Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey and Jamar Chase every week, it would be a very boring segment as well.
Yeah.
So anyways, we are now 2 weeks into it, which means Daniel now gets to spin the wheel. Did you spin the wheel for yourself last week? You did. Okay.
I did
Mike
spin
did.
the
Do
wheel
you
for
want
myself,
a trial
yeah.
run or you swear to let it rip?
No, I'll let it rip. I don't mind being able to do that. I'll move this as close as I can. I'll move this over here. So we got it. There we go.
Before you do it, is there anything that you really don't want it to land on? And is there something that you really do want it to land on?
No, I would be okay with basically all of these things.
Okay.
What I don't want it to land on is an ice bath because I want that to be Mike Clay's punishment
No,
later
I'm not
on
doing
in
it.
the
We're not
season.
removing
I didn't even
it
know that was
from
on
the
there.
board. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's, we'll see. Now that I've said it, I probably will.
Yeah, it's a
land on it,
guarantee.
unfortunately.
Guarantee it.
All right, here we go. I'm going to roll the wheel, spin the wheel.
You can roll a wheel, but that would be painful probably for the wheel.
Feels good for those at home. It's going around, and we're going to end on
Wear a wig.
Wear a wig.
All right.
I'm not sure there's room for more hair on top of my hair, guys. I don't know how that's going to work.
Hopefully we have budget for a wig and we'll find something completely ridiculous off of Amazon that you can wear next week. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much. All right, well, that's not too bad.
Honestly, it's not bad. I felt like the punishments are generally pretty benign. I play in a fantasy league with a bunch of my buddies locally, and we have a punishment wheel for the lowest scorer each week. It's a 14-team league, and there are a couple punishments that I'm not going to lie to you. A little harsh.
Yeah.
Now, we have a buyback. If you spin and you don't like it, you can put money towards the pot
okay.
to
Oh, I like
get a
that.
second spin.
I like that.
So it's going to hurt your wallet, but it avoids some punishments that probably no one wants to see.
Well, let's make sure you keep on sending in your punishments in our YouTube chat. Our buddy Eric Moody is hanging out in there right now, answering questions from everybody live while we do the show. But if you have anything else that you think should end up on our punishment wheel for this season, we're doing this every single week. So make sure you throw them in there. I was nervous about few options that were on their field, but I know I'm not the only one that's nervous today, as you've got a few guys that make you nervous here heading into week 3.
That's right. So a reminder, I'm going to do guys that make me nervous. Daniel's going to be doing panic or patience, and Mike is going to be doing kind of a miscellaneous segment to cover some players that we don't cover in these first 2 segments.
Okay.
These are players that make me nervous going into week 3, and we'll talk about
Is it
whether that
Halloween?
means
Hear this
anything.
music?
Yes,
It does feel
I mean, I am
Halloween. Yeah,
very
I like
nervous
it. I'm
right
ready.
now. It's kind of spooky. We're about a month and a half away from Halloween. I'm going to start with teammates. I'm going to lump them into one category to begin. And again, I'm going to give you the actionable part of it on the back end as well. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. So they fit into different categories, but they play in the same offense.
Yep.
I talked about this a little bit yesterday with the running backs, which we'll dive into more throughout the week. It's not that Justin Jefferson is no longer startable in fantasy. He's very much startable. He is a top 7 wide receiver in all of our rankings this week. I'm lowest at wide receiver 7. The problem is this. We say all the time in the preseason, you can't win your drafts in the first round, but you can lose it in the first round. And if this Vikings offense does not improve in a hurry, then Justin Jefferson will prove to be a losing pick in the first round. He's got 7 catches, 7 in the first 2 games. He was saved by a touchdown in week 1. This offense looks all out of sorts. Yes, J.J. McCarthy has played a total of 8 quarters. Of course, there are reasons to believe that this offense could get better in a hurry. Carson Wentz might actually help the offense. As crazy as that sounds, there's a non-zero chance that Carson Wentz helps the offense. But again, the point is not that it can't get better. The point is that when you draft a guy in the first 5 picks, you're banking on 17 weeks of value, not maybe 13 or 12 or 10. Hey, he gets going at some point. You're banking on 17 weeks of elite value, and you've already missed out on 2 of those with Justin Jefferson. He's still inside my top 10 of wide receivers, but he makes me nervous. Let me do Hawkinson, and you guys can tell me if I'm right, wrong, or somewhere in between. Hawkinson has just been a non-factor. He's just been a non-factor in this offense. I don't know if that's because this offense in general has played slower and had fewer passing attempts and been inefficient, or, and I hope this isn't the case, is TJ Hawkinson the same player he was prior to that gnarly knee injury? He's very far removed from it now. It was at the end of the calendar year, or maybe it was either January of 2024 or December of 2023.
Yes.
Far enough removed that you would think it's no longer a problem. But he certainly hasn't been the same guy. He's tight end 10 for me this week. And that truly is a sign of how bad tight ends are, not about anything that Hawkinson has done so far himself. Thoughts?
Yeah, well said. I think that for Hawkinson specifically, we need the target share to go up closer to where he has been. It is 17%, so it could be much worse, but he's been on the field for the most part. Hopefully Carson Wentz will just decide to rely on him a little bit more. That's kind of the risk with a quarterback changes. Sometimes guys just don't like throwing to running backs or whatever it may be, or don't prefer the tight end or vice versa. Perhaps Carson Wentz will go his direction a little bit more often. So again, I'm still fringe tight end 1, same as you. And then Jefferson, I agree. I mean, I feel like it's going to be hard for him to live up to that early first round ADP. But it's the same kind of thing. Like, with McCarthy, he might, I feel like I'm just repeating what you said. He might not be as good as Carson Wentz. Like, Wentz just might be the better option short term.
Short term, yeah.
And that's like, I like what I'm seeing from McCarthy in some ways. I feel like maybe he has a trajectory. If it's going to take a little time, he's still 22 years old. I think someday he'll get there, but obviously it's going to take a little time. So short term, Wentz might be the guy to just manage the offense in terms of getting the ball to Hawkinson, to Jefferson, and in a week from now, Jordan Addison as well.
Mike, imagine if you said that Sam Darnold will be better for Justin Jefferson's value a year ago at this time. People would, no, come on, dude. Sam Darnold, he stings. Every time he goes somewhere, the media gets hyped up about him because he was a 3rd overall pick. Yeah, Sam Darnold looked awesome last year, and this past Sunday looked really good as
Sometimes
well.
the trick is just to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, and that's something Kirk Cousins did well, or has done well throughout his career when he's been, in his prime. That's something Darnold did well last year, did well last week as well, to your point. And maybe Wentz can do that. That's kind of what we're looking for in this Minnesota offense, just get the ball in the hands of these guys.
I like that you said this, Mike, because one of the things I was going to mention is TJ Hawkinson is not doing well, and he's not even competing for targets with Jordan Addison yet. Like, I think we're going to have a better wide receiver join this offense. And if TJ Hawkinson has looked this bad to be able to start the season, it makes me really nervous. I'm more nervous about him because of the fact, and I advocated for him a bunch. This is a guy coming off of injury. I feel like he wasn't fully back to himself. It was December of 23 when he had that injury. And so like we're now so far removed from it that these first 2 weeks have looked so bad. I do want to ask you about another player that's not on here, Field, but while we're talking about the Minnesota Vikings, Aaron Jones going to IR. He's going to miss 4 games at least. If I told you guys Jordan Mason is going to be the starter for the next 4 weeks, I think I would have been more excited than I am now, because after the first 2 games of the season, do you still feel like Jordan Mason can be a top 20 guy with this offense and Carson Wentz under center? Can he be top 15? How high is too high for Mason?
I think right around running back 20 is a reasonable proximity for Jordan Mason. And it's a lot of the reasons why he was valuable last year, right? He's going to see the bulk of the carries. It's a thin backfield behind him that's been impacted by another injury, Ty Chandler. On IR as well. They're a 3rd running back. And on top, but as we know, with Jordan Mason, it's all about the generally limited pass catching skill set. So
if this offense had been clicking out the gate, I could have seen him maybe being like a top 15 or a little bit higher than that, because you felt like the Vikings are playing well. But with them not playing well, it feels like they got a lot of wrongs to right.
RB23 for me. This week. Let me go to my next player.
And just really quick, their backup running back is now?
It's it's Xavier Scott, right?
Xavier Scott. I mean, Cam Akers on the practice squad. They have Xavier and Falladay. But the point is, like, Mason might just get 4 dump-off targets. Now, he might have to. He might play 80% of the snaps. So
good call.
I definitely think he should be in lineups.
I think Cam Akers will be active this Sunday, is my guess.
I
would be surprised if he plays a decent amount. He was playing last year as the 2 at times.
Great.
Next up for me, and this one should be short and sweet because I think we're all in alignment here. It's Ravens tight end Mark Andrews. I'm not even sure nervous is the right word. Sad, despondent. Both of those work as well. Lamar Jackson has been red hot through the first 2 weeks. He had 4 passing touchdowns last week. I think he had 4 total touchdowns the week before. Bottom line is this. Lamar's on a heater through 2 games because he's Lamar bleeping Jackson. And Mark Andrews is a ghost. 1 catch in back-to-back games. Certainly can't start Mark Andrews unless you're playing in a 20-team league. And even then it might be a stretch. On top of that, who's been unavailable the first 2 weeks of the season?
Isaiah Likely.
And Isaiah Likely could play as soon as this Sunday. It's all kinds of, there were some signs. I mean, obviously last year the target share dropped. It certainly felt like this offseason Mark Andrews was a possibility to not return to the Ravens. He's back. Isaiah likely gets hurt. Glimmer of hope. He's still a great red zone target, but for now, does not belong in lineups.
Agreed. He has 7 yards in 2 games. Like, I don't know how you can start him.
Again, short sweep.
I don't know how you could start him right now. And you're right. I wonder what's going to happen when likely comes back. Is Andrews just? I mean, he's playing almost 80% of the snaps through 2 games and is a non-factor. So I'm very nervous, and I don't like on another team. I might wonder if he gets traded when Likely's back and healthy. But they're going for a Super Bowl ring this year, so I feel like they're just going to keep their talent around, not be sellers. But it's a situation to monitor.
Also, like, what can you get from Mark Andrews in the final year of his contract, making $14 million? You're probably eating a bunch of money to get back a minimal draft return.
Right.
Next player for me, and we've been talking about him already this week. Mike obviously was not here on Monday or Tuesday. But for me, it's Brian Thomas Jr., Jaguars wide receiver, who has moved outside the top 10 for me. And the question becomes whether I'm too optimistic at wide receiver 15. You know, we talked about this, and maybe I talked a little bit too much around it on the podcast because some people are like, have you not seen everybody else's video on the internet about how disparaging some of the film is from Brian Thomas Jr. in the first 2 games? We talked about the chemistry being off between him and Trevor Lawrence. There are things that sometimes feel difficult to talk about directly because we don't know exactly what the chemistry is like between him and Trevor Lawrence. They could be best friends. They could be neighbors for all we know. I don't know this. I'm just sort of gleaning it based off what it looks like on tape. And the bottom line is 12 targets is great, but when you're catching a third of them and your quarterback and you are on a different page and your offense is not playing like it was at the end of last season, like all of these things are reasons to feel like Brian Thomas Jr. is no longer this guy who has a real shot to win you your week, which is where he was last year for the final 6 games of the season with Mac Jones. The defense has probably been a bigger strength for the Jaguars through 2 games in the offense. They've got 5 interceptions. Like, it wasn't the defense's fault that they lost last week. They picked off Jake Browning 3 times. I had this team backwards in the preseason, it would appear. You have to cling on to hope. I'm still going to have him inside the lineups of all the teams that I have Brian Thomas Jr. on, and I have a lot of him, but it doesn't feel great.
Nope.
Yeah, it's a tough start, and I don't want to kind of continue to pile on, but
no, go for it.
Derek Stingley Jr. shadow here in week 3 is not going to make things easy. Shadowed Mike Evans and Devontae Adams already, and they combined for 17 fantasy points. So he shadowed him last year too. And Thomas had a decent game away from his coverage, but had like 7 yards when that matched up with Stingley in that game. So I don't know. I don't know if this is the week he gets back on track. You're kind of just hoping he catches a 23-yard touchdown to save your day.
If that happens, do you think? I understand that you're nervous, Field, when you say this. At some point, do you say to yourself, like, I got to throw in like just a buy low trade offer though, because he's still Brian Thomas Jr., right? Like,
I've yet to meet a buy low trade opportunity that I didn't take.
Right? It's like
I will
fortune favors the bold. If Brian Thomas has been tough through the first 3 weeks, okay, I'm gonna hope that like the ship will right itself throughout the season. But especially if after week 3 he comes out and doesn't look great, I mean, it feels like you could. I don't want to say pennies on the dollar because people still have the name value of Brian Thomas Jr. But I think I would throw out a trade offer for BTJ if he struggles.
Obviously, if we're worried, other people are panicking for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it might be your opportunity if you think he's going to rebound. And remember, he has never played at this elite level. He's never played at an elite level with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
It was with Mac Jones. He was okay with Lawrence, but it was Mac Jones who really peppered him with targets and got him over the top. And so we have to see it.
My guy, Mac Jones, fantasy moneymaker. Let's go, baby.
That's right. That's right.
Guys like that.
All right, next one, Field Yates.
Next one, and this one's a little bit different than the others so far. It's Cardinals wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. Wasn't great this past week. And this one's a little bit less specific to week 3. He's wide receiver 26 on my board, which is actually 7 spots ahead of Daniel. It's more about sort of the holistic stance on Marvin Harrison Jr. I uttered these words in the preseason, and it was almost like I hesitate to say these things because I don't want them to become true. 2 weeks in, I'm starting to wonder if they are becoming true. Is Marvin Harrison Jr. the next Kyle Pitts? That's what I mentioned during the preseason. They don't play the same position, obviously. Coincidentally, they were both drafted 4th overall, but it was outsized hype met by a skill set that is definitely good. These guys are not talentless. Kyle Pitts became the 2nd tight end in NFL history to have 1,000 or more receiving yards as a rookie. He's got game, clearly, but it was just outsized expectations from the start that are attached to a player and you continue to expect those things to happen, and he gets drafted accordingly. And it's just not, it's a little bit of an oil and water fit with him and Kyler Murray right now. You know, Jonathan Gannon, their head coach, is asked about this all the time now, right? Because I think there are people that see the talent, that cover him locally and say to themselves, like, why is he not getting the ball more? And Jonathan Gannon has a pretty consistent answer. Like, I think the most recent response was something to the effect of, it's not about the targets for me. It's about, is the ball going where the ball is supposed to go? And again, I go back to the logic that I've stated 1,000 times before, which is that the Cardinals had an opportunity to turn pick 4 into lots of other picks. If they didn't feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be a guy that you would build your entire offense around and pepper with somewhere between 8 and 10 targets a game, my argument would be that you should not be drafting that player 4th overall. You should instead turn pick 4 into pick number 11 plus 2 extra firsts or something like that. Diversify the portfolio. They seem to disagree, because at least the offensive staff disagrees with that assessment. That I think the front office probably agrees with that assessment, because they were the ones that were making the pick, right? Yeah. It's frustrating, though. It's super frustrating, and we got a glimmer of hope in week 1 when he found the end zone. So there was some good. I'm not. It's not like Marvin Harrison Jr. is no longer usable, right? But are we going to go into next year in drafts and be like talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. in the same vein that we talked about Jalen Waddle coming into this season? What I mean by that is, like, he's a good player. If things break right, it could happen. But nobody was sitting there like, I absolutely must draft Jalen Waddle early.
I think he's Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, George Pickens like level volume. Like, I think he's a better player than that. But like, I think I need to reset my expectation with the idea that I should expect 5 to 8 targets per game from Marvin Harrison Jr. and stop holding the expectation that he will see 8 to 10 to 12 targets.
I'm more optimistic than you guys. You ready for this?
Okay.
Yes.
Time for Check This Out.
Hey!
Check this out.
Check this out.
Check this out.
Check this out. Check this out. Check this out.
It's time to check this out.
Check this out.
That is amazing.
All right, you ready?
Tyler produced that?
Yeah. Oh, he did.
Shout out,
yeah, we
Tyler.
taped that in the off season. We actually work in the off season. Okay, we don't just go on vacations. All right, Daniel.
I don't know. You were the one. I thought you were the one that didn't show up for the first
but I did my work. I did my
Okay,
job.
That's
too.
what it was.
All right, check this out. Arizona has operated the game script adjusted 4th pass heaviest offense in the NFL through 2 games. However, they have led on 70% of their offensive snaps. That's 3rd highest in the NFL.
Okay.
So,
Likey.
6 targets in week 1 for Marvin Harrison, 5 targets in week 2. They're going to play more competitive games. I know the defense is on the ascension. The offense is playing fine. They've had some easier games so far. They're going to have to throw the ball more against better teams. Okay. And when they do that, the 5 and 6 targets are going to turn to 7 and 8 targets for Marvin Harrison. The 21% target share, I want that to be higher. I need it to be closer to, say, 25, 26, 27%. I think we can get there. But the bottom line is they're trying to throw the ball. They just haven't had to.
Yeah.
They've been leading, and we're not used to that from Arizona. This week, they play San Francisco. This is a secondary that you can take advantage of. Amador Lenore, Renardo Green, Upton Stout are their 3 corners. I think you pick on them. I think Harrison, who, again, to your point, already has a 5 for 71 and a touchdown in week 1. He's had one of 2 games that have been great. I'm more optimistic here. I think he has a big week 3. And I think as Arizona throws the ball more, it's going to mean big things for Marvin Harrison.
So that makes me feel better. I'm not going to lie. I still have him 4 spots higher than you. You've wide receiver 30.
All right.
So, yeah.
Well, okay.
I'm just saying, like, we're still nervous, right? Like,
I'm more optimistic in general, I guess. But
well, okay, good. That makes me feel better. I hope you're way right. Like, way right. Last one here, and not to sort of kick a player when he's down. What?
No, I was I had started to think about whether it was worth it for me to say something, and then I decided that it wasn't.
So
we're just,
yeah.
I am just 5 targets in week 2. 6 targets in week 1. Like that Saints game, that Saints game wasn't in the bag though. Like I realized they were winning.
The Cardinals game wasn't either. I mean, the Panthers game wasn't either.
Like these were 2 teams that I expected them to absolutely just like demolish. We're talking the Saints and the Panthers.
I know, but they were just nursing leads throughout these games. That's my point. They were Trey Benson's had what? 8 points in both games, had a touchdown. We would have rather
give the ball to Trey Benson than give the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr.
But this is what teams do. This is why people get mad about the Eagles, because they're always ahead and they're like, where's A.J. Brown? Where's Devontae Smith? And then suddenly they're in a competitive game and Brown has 160 yards and 2 touchdowns. They haven't needed to use their wide receivers yet. It's just they haven't. Trey McBride hasn't lit it up either. I just think when the games are more competitive, like this week, you're going to see more. You're going to see the 6 turn into 8 or 9 targets. That's my feeling on it. I think it's been an unusual start to the season for this offense, and I think it levels itself out.
All right.
Okay, last one for me. Field. And again, not to kick
No, I'm not
done.
Let Daniel. No.
Ashton Jeanty.
Worst first-round pick of fantasy in 2025.
Yes, so far. Yes.
So far.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say it again. I just don't understand the logic along the same lines of the Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall. If you're going to draft a running back, 6th overall, the reality is the best 4 years of his career are almost certain to be the first 4 years of his career.
Yeah.
Or maybe the first 6 years of his career, right? You need to maximize everything you get out of this player right away. And if you're drafting him 6th overall, he better have the skill set to play more than 56% of the snaps.
Yep.
And that's what he played on Monday night. So I don't know why. I don't think Raiders fans are going to argue with this one. Like, what is the value of Zamir White on the field?
It should be Jeanty just had a 42-yard run and needs a second. That should be
needs 1 second.
Yes.
That's exactly how I feel, Mike. But the fact that he was seeding like 3rd down work on like the opening drive to Zamir White, like, are you kidding me? That was frustrating. Here's the glimmer for hope this week for Ashton Jeanty. Is 2 weeks ago against the Patriots, he has 21 opportunities, 86% of the snaps, and he finds the end zone, a game they win 20-13. This past weekend, they were playing from behind much of the game, and they were just, Geno Smith was, I don't even know what happened to Geno Smith. He imploded on Monday night. They play the Commanders on the road. The Commanders are a good team, but it might be the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders, so perhaps this game stays either competitive or stays at least, maybe they're winning, and they have an opportunity here. The only last thing that I want to do is I want to directly mention Tom Brady. If you're out there listening right now, Tom.
Okay.
During one of your 2 to 3 meetings a week with Chip Kelly, could you please advise more Ashton Jeanty?
Please.
Tom's a big listener of the show.
Yeah, we know that. So,
yes. Yeah, of course. He's studying up for his flag football squad, right?
Yes.
That's right.
I'll say this. He's handled 30 of the 35 running back carries. So in terms of share of the carries, it's good. The problem is he's an 8% target share. That's not going to cut it. That's the number that we need
He's
to go
averaging
up.
0.6 yards per catch.
Yeah.
0.6.
And by the way, a reason for optimism is he looks the part. I mean, that touchdown run in week 1, I mean, he makes plays.
You know what's funny, Mike, is I think there are people that are going to say to you, what do you mean he looks the part? He's averaging, whatever it is, like 3.1 yards per carry. Again, people, let me reiterate the stat from yesterday. The running back carries for the Raiders, which 30 out of 35, that's 6 out of 7 have been handled by Ashton Jeanty. They are averaging negative 0.23 yards per rush before contact. So he is on average being hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Including on that touchdown run when he somehow broke loose. Yeah. So I think once he gets rolling here a little bit, they get him more involved in the passing game, find ways to utilize him, I think he'll get back on track. So
all right.
Well, those are a couple of guys that make Field nervous. Just again, for our audio listeners at home, that was Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. Obviously, Mark Andrews, which makes a ton of sense. Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr., and Ashton Jeanty. Let's dive into our board bet from last week really quickly. We can pay this off. We had a board bet. I said Patrick Mahomes was going to finish outside the top 10. Field Yates, where did he finish?
Quarterback 9.
Quarterback 9.
I had exactly 10.
I know, Mike. He came very close.
I think we need
to
review the scoring on this.
This is ridiculous. We've got to talk about this just really quickly because Patrick Mahomes, this last week, had the most rushing yards and rushing fantasy points of his career. What did I say to you last week?
There's no way he'll run as much as he did in week 1.
I said last week he just ran for the second most rushing yards and rushing fantasy points of his career. There's no way he's doing it again. And then he literally does it again. He looks like, and we were texting about this during the game, he is that offense right now.
Yeah,
he is the best runner in that backfield by far. I'll talk about Isaiah Pacheco a little bit later on in the show, but Mahomes has been carrying that Chiefs team right now.
He has been. He's been amazing. The rest of the offense has been booty cheeks. So get your act together, the rest of the offense.
Yeah,
seriously.
No doubt about it. He has 2 rushing touchdowns already. He's had more than that in a season once in his career.
That's incredible.
He's leading all quarterbacks in rushing yards.
That's what is this going to become like the new? I don't think the Chiefs want their $500 million man running the ball this much.
They do not. They got a lot of things. You have to hope that Xavier Worthy plays this week, and then you have to hope that Xavier Worthy plus Rashee Rice is enough That's the antidote for this offense as well.
By the way, to answer that question, he has 13 carries. They're all scrambles. So, no, they're not designing runs.
They're not designing runs.
He doesn't have anyone open.
Oh, man.
Well, he's got one guy open, unfortunately. Freaking Tyquan Thornton.
Hey,
Mike Clay, winning our What is a Raheem Sanders Monopoly Fund.
Yep.
I'm going to give this to you.
Thank you very much.
So we played a game for this. It was our long shot game. Here you get all of the Monopoly money. Now this is empty, unfortunately, because we had to just pay off Mike Clay.
$15 bucks.
Yeah, we had a game set up where it was
$20 tonight, Megan.
We were doing long shots. Players rostered under 1% of leagues that we thought would get in the end zone fields. You had Noah Gray, also a good call, to be honest. He was on the short list of guys that could have gotten there. I had Alameda Zacchaeus. Our producers had Kyle Huscheck. But Tyquan Thornton, 0.7% rostered. Mike, this is why we don't play games with you. Like, we're 2 weeks into the season and you've already won.
Well, this is the first time we played it, so one for one. Nailed it.
And you had a good rule that we are instituting.
Yes. I suggested this right before the show today when I was looking at week 3 options. Every time someone hits, we kind of cut in half how many players we could use. So right now we're under 1%. Now we'll make it under 0.5%.
0.5%. Okay.
And then
especially early on in the season, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
yeah. I was happy it happened because I was talking about it for a couple of weeks, but also a little disappointed because we want this thing to run its course. So we'll start it up again this week, and we'll drop some names tomorrow, right?
Okay. Absolutely. Do you think now that we've finally had this, I got to pay off Tyquan Thornton? Like, does he need to be rostered? Does he need to be someone that needs to be on benches, or do you think this is still one of those like? No. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
If you can be in your daily fantasy lineup.
Yeah,
all right, deal.
Or if you're in like a 16-team league and you need like a desperation flex, maybe, but only if Xavier Worthy remains out. If Worthy's back, then it's Worthy, it's Juju, and it's who else am I missing?
Xavier Worthy, Juju, Noah Gray, I don't know who the other.
Maybe it is still
Hollywood Brown.
Oh, Hollywood Brown. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
no big deal.
My brain was all over
that
the
guy.
place there.
Yeah, the Eagles shut him down, so I forgot about him. But
all right, well, how about rather than Hollywood Brown, because you obviously didn't want to talk about him, couldn't even remember his name. Give us some guys you do want to talk about, Mike Clay.
Okay, I'm next. We're doing this. I'm up next. All right.
Yeah, guys. Mike wants to talk about.
Guys, I just feel like talking about whether some of these guys are guys I was nervous about. Some are guys that showed up really high in the rankings this week, and we'll start with Caleb Williams. I can't wait. You know, from a fantasy perspective, I can't wait for this Bears-Cowboys game because they can't stop any.
Yes.
Neither defense can stop anyone so far. And I think Caleb Williams should be locked into lineups. I think I heard you talking about him yesterday or the day before. I'm at QB 6 this week. He's already 10 this week. So over 200 passing yards in both games. He has 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, 85 rushing yards, and a touchdown as well, 6th among quarterbacks in rushing yards. He's no Patrick Mahomes in that area.
No, of course.
He's not far behind. And the Cowboys so far, 30.3 points to Russell Wilson, 24.3 to Jalen Hurts. The Hurts one, you're like, okay, that's fine.
That checks
out.
But
Russ, that was a rough
the second most passing yards in his career.
Yeah, that was
450.
Yeah, we'll see if Deron Bland is back in this game for Dallas, which would help. Yeah, that'll help a little bit, but nonetheless, they are struggling. So
they
Caleb Williams,
Jadeveon Clowney, so that should fix the Micah Parsons departure, right?
No,
Clowney's wearing number 42. That makes me very
feels gross.
That's tough. That
should be illegal for a defensive end named Jadeveon.
He's also 32. He's gonna be a rotational edge rusher. They're just trying to find ways to replace, of course, Micah Parsons. So, I think Caleb is a good streamer this week.
Okay. Yep. I love it too. And I know that players they probably don't feel like our words, our apologies are going to change anything. But in some ways, I feel like the way that Caleb is discussed these days, it's just like everything can be bothersome about like where we are in sports right now. Guys played 20 games in the NFL. And we've already decided that like he sucks. He's terrible. He'll never be able to win meaningfully with the Chicago Bears. Like, I actually feel like he's been pretty improved this year compared to where he was last year. I'm sorry the Bears are 0-2. They played, I think, a very good team in the Lions, and they crapped down their pants in week 1 against the Vikings, a game they should not have lost. It happens in week 1. I'm excited for Caleb Williams to get back on track. I think the Bears win on Sunday at home.
Okay. All right. Next one for me. Do you have any thoughts, or are you good? You good?
No, I'm good.
We all have inside of our top 7.
Yes.
Okay. So we're on the same page. Okay. This guy is a guy that we might want to bench this week. Jerry Jeudy going up against the Green Bay Packers. 5 for 66 and 4 for 51 so far. We expected a little better with Joe Flacco under center, a lot of pass volume there. He is second in routes among receivers, which helps a little bit, same as where he finished last year. But the target share is down from 23% to 20% this year. So we need that number
to
go. Yeah, too much Harold Fandon for sure. Cedric Tillman's been good as well.
Outside the top 30 for all.
Yeah, and the problem here, of course, on top of all of that, is the matchup against Green Bay, who has been just unbelievable so far. They faced the 6th most pass attempts, but they've allowed the 20th most yards so far this season, 5.2 yards per attempt. That's lowest in the NFL. Only one receiver has gotten to double-digit fantasy points against him. That was Deebo Samuel. So Jerry Jeudy, I think if you can find a way to get him on your bench this week, you do it.
Do it. Okay.
Yeah. That doesn't feel great. Saying if you can find a way to get him on your bench, it's like,
Yeah, I think in 10-teamers you can. 12-teamers might be a little tougher, but hopefully you have a good team and you have some options.
Yep. What you're hoping for in that game is garbage time.
Yes.
You're hoping for the Packers being up 28-7 in the fourth quarter, and it's just
you got to throw the ball.
Gabriel to Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Isaiah Bond.
You calling a Dylan Gabriel shot right now?
Well, he came in last week in garbage time.
How do you think you're going to get enough Dylan Gabriel garbage time to make it worth it? I feel like Joe Flacco's like they're still going to throw the ball 40 times a game, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm just saying. If they're down 28-7 in the fourth quarter, it'll be Dylan Gabriel in the game to protect the 40-year-old Joe Flacco.
Next guy on my list, guys, is still like I talked on Sunday about fantasy football. Now the most confusing backfield was still Seattle, and we're still there. We got no more clarity this past week. This was what's that?
We have some hope.
Yeah, we have some hope. This was a point of contention on social media for me since Sunday. Still getting responses on this topic because just for observing the fact that, yes, Ken Walker played better in this game. He's outplayed Zach Charbonnet so far this season for sure. But his share of the snaps, routes, and targets were all lower in week 2 than they were in week 1. He played less often. So a lot of the pushback was like, obviously Walker's fine now. Like he's just ramping up. Well, he played less in week 2. So I don't see how that makes sense. If your thought process is, okay, he played better now they're gonna increase his snaps and his usage, his targets, whatever it may be, fine. Like I could buy that. I think that's completely logical. But that is not what has happened yet, and it's very possible. Like he played a little more in week 1 and his numbers were horrendous. He played less in week 2, his numbers were better. The numbers aren't going to stay that high if he doesn't play more. Like he very well could go back to week 1 production if he gets 10 touches. Right. It isn't, So I'm still nervous about this one, more nervous than other people. I still have him ranked 25th, so a flex option, but I need to see the snaps go up. You need volume. You can't just rely on playing a handful of snaps and have elite efficiency. It might be good for Seattle. It's not good for fantasy football. So I'm not there yet, but I need to see more.
Yeah, the hope is pretty straightforward, is that like for a team that played much better offensively last week than it did in week 1, they say to themselves, all right, listen, maybe there might be some things in the intangibles category, the pass blocking category, that Zach Charbonnet is better than Kenneth Walker III. And in their eyes, not necessarily ours, but in their eyes, Ken Walker III is way too explosive. You need to have a running attack that's not like a yard and a half in a cloud of dust for Zach Charbonnet. Last week, it was literally 2/3 of a yard per carry for Zach Charbonnet. So you need to hope that the team just says, I get it. There are some limitations with Kenneth Walker III. He's just such a better player overall that we need more of him going forward.
Yeah, I want to unsubscribe from this backfield. I said this on Monday. I mean, when I get to a chance where I can try and move Ken Walker III without making it sound like I'm desperate to other people in my league, I just don't want to have to deal with trying to figure out this running back by committee. And I realize, like, you're so early in the season, it's like, who are you going to trade him for? Like, what are you going to trade him away to be able to get back? Like, I think you need a little bit more time. But when it gets to a spot where I can try to move out of this backfield, that's what I would try to do as a manager.
I think there's hope here. There's hope that he does this week play, 60% of the snaps, leads and carries. Zach Charbonnet has 0 targets and is running the ball very poorly, 2.1 yards per carry. So there's reason to think that could happen.
The hope that they just say, okay, we're way better with the other guy on the field. Let's play him a whole lot more.
And this is a good matchup. The Saints allowed over 22.5 points to CMC and a combined 22.9 to Arizona's running back. So there's optimism here that he has a good game here in week 3, but we're not where we need to be with him just yet to pay off his ADP.
That is correct.
All right, next one. Speaking of a guy not living up to his ADP, Omarion Hampton. Next on my list, this is a guy that I have obvious concerns about. 11.6 fantasy points in 2 games. Not effective running the ball, 3.1 yards per carry. His 14 receiving yards so far. And perhaps most concerning, his snaps dropped from 81% in week 1 all the way down to 62% last week. He had the same number of targets and carries as Najee Harris this past week. So I like that he still has a pretty sizable snap edge. Yeah. So that makes, and route, he's obviously in passing situations, not that they throw to the running backs or tight ends very much, but at least he's getting those snaps. Denver did get toasted by Jonathan Taylor last week. So perhaps there's optimism Hampton could get going. So that's reason for positivity, I guess, but I don't like the way that backfield is trending right now, and he's just not playing well enough. Do
you have more positivity around Ashton Genty or Omarion Hampton?
Genty.
Okay.
I think so as well.
Okay. Genty just doesn't have competition. Like it has to. It has to happen there.
I like
don't
the
know.
Chargers offense so much more because it feels like they're just a more competent offense. And like I could get some goal line usage for Hampton as they, move the ball down the field.
Yeah.
The other thing
but that's another thing, by the way. Quick aside, I had sorry, I have to mention this because I was so close to perfection in the touchdown calls last week because I had Tyquan Thornton.
Yep.
I had CMC who caught the touchdown. I had him on FF Now. And I had my parlay, which was 3 legs. James Conner scored. Jalen Hurts scored. And Marion Hampton was the last one. And he had 3 consecutive goal line carries and didn't get in. That one killed me.
Imagine if that ESPN bet parlay had Tyquan Thornton in place of Marion Hampton.
I know.
And what you would have
paid off
looked like.
more too.
The only other thing that I'll add to this is that like if the Chargers keep playing the way that they do, they're less incentivized to change things up, right?
Yeah.
They're 2-0, and if they continue to play awesome, no one's going to be saying, hey, you're not doing enough of Jim Harbaugh is playing your first-round pick. You guys are only 9-1. Play him more, right? Whereas, if the Raiders continue to be as, I would say, uninspiring offensively as they were on Monday night, and to a degree in week 1 as well, then I think people are going to probably be saying, like, do we need to reassess how we're utilizing this player that we took 6 overall?
By the way, that's the same argument with the Packers with Matthew Golden. It's like they just keep winning and dominating.
Of course
it's
not.
like I can't. What am I supposed to say? Like, LaFleur stinks because he's not using Matthew Golden.
Right.
Like, he knows what he's doing. Like, he's one of the best coaches in the NFL. I'm just very biased when it comes to Matthew Golden. I want him to get the football. So,
I think anytime that you draft someone in the first round, there should be like a law. You've got to use them X amount of times in the first handful of games.
That's actually is a law.
It should be.
It already is.
At least show us that the player's a bust.
Right.
Like, prove it to us first.
Right.
Yes.
If you don't use them, how are we supposed to know? Okay.
I promise you that we knew more about the first round pick of your favorite team as a fantasy player because we're just those sickos that know those things. Right.
Yeah, we know. We're smarter than all these guys. Come on.
All right, Mike. You think you got one more? You got one more to give us?
One more. Keon Coleman is kind of a fascinating
bounce back opportunity.
Yeah, perhaps. Obviously, great matchup against the Dolphins. They have struggled awful. They've been awful this year. 9.7 yards per attempt, a 79% completion rate allowed to quarterbacks, the worst EPA against the pass so far. The only reason they're mid-pack in terms of fantasy points allowed to receivers is because they've faced the 3rd fewest targets to receivers so far. That's the only reason. The efficiency has been horrendous. Coleman did come back to earth last week, 3 catches for 26 yards. 2 reasons for that. One was half of his routes were against Sauce Gardner. The other half were against Brandon Stevens. We talked about that last week. I thought he would see more Gardner, but the thought was even if he didn't, Brandon Stevens is on the other side. It's tough.
Yep.
Also, his snaps fell to 49%. His targets fell to 12% after 87 and 24%.
How much of that feels like, hey, we were totally smothering the Jets? Call off the dogs.
The first 10 pass plays of the game, he was on the field for like half of them. So it started right off the bat. They featured Elijah Moore. It felt kind of like the Packers where they featured Dontavian Wicks. Same kind of thing.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if they felt like, oh, Elijah's had a good week of practice. Let's get him into the rotation. And it came at the expense of Keon Coleman. But again, it was a tough matchup. And it was that I do think it will recover in competitive games. I don't know how competitive this game's going to be on Thursday night. I'm sure we'll talk about this a little more tomorrow.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Coleman, I would call him right now one of the widest range of outcomes players right now because he could be wide receiver 5 or 70 based on how much he plays and if he gets the football, much like he's been the first 2 games of the season.
Gosh, it doesn't feel great with Keon Coleman because I would have loved to see a little bit more. However, if there is any matchup to right all of the negativity that has happened, it's got to be the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully speak that into existence. The guys Mike wanted to talk about for our audio listeners, just recapping this really quickly. We had Caleb Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Ken Walker III, Omarion Hampton, and Keon Coleman.
So up on one of those and down on their other 4.
Yeah, basically.
To some extent. I mean, cautious optimism, I'd say, on Walker. Certainly
That's
optimism on Caleb. I think Hampton will be better, but worried about him. And Keon Coleman, good guy. I mean, we'll guess on that one. I feel like this week you feel better about putting it back in your lineup against Miami.
Totally.
All right, I got a couple names I'm going to bring to the table as well with a week 3 panic or patience, my friends. I'm going to give you my panic level. I would love to know where you guys are at on these players. Okay. And I mentioned as a little teaser, I was going to get into the running backs in that Kansas City running back room. Isaiah Pacheco. This was a mistake. I have a panic level of 10 on Isaiah Pacheco.
Totally.
The dude can't even beat out Kareem Hunt right now. Yep. It looks like a committee. And if you're telling me that Kareem Hunt is actually more efficient than you at the running back spot, I have a full-on reason to be able to panic, unfortunately. He is my running back 31 this week.
Yeah, it's too high.
And that's wild because they
lower.
play the Giants, who have given up the most fantasy points to running backs through the first 2 weeks. And that was in a game in which, I know the Cowboys were throwing the ball a ton, but Javonte Williams looked really good again against the Giants. So I still don't feel like, even though he's taken on what I think is a great matchup, I can't even play him in the flex. I would rather play any wide receiver basically that I have on my bench, because I think there's more juice in that game than what I've seen from Isaiah Pacheco. I'm a full-on panic level 10, and I think he's going to be on my bench until I see something turn around. I'm no longer in the I will trust it and it's going to happen phase.
No, it's 10 for me as well.
Yeah, agreed. For sure. Your hope is here they get the passing game going at some point, and it opens up something from the running game, because it hasn't been there. But you're right. He's in a timeshare right now with Kareem Hunt. And
Feels
I feel like it's more likely Brashard Smith, their 7th-round rookie, gets more time than either of the veterans. Right?
He's getting a couple snaps, so maybe out of nowhere he just starts playing a lot.
I think it's more likely that it's him that gets the boost in snaps than one of the 2 veteran backs.
Yeah, or they make a trade, as we've talked about.
I thought that was one of the things. We read so much into this in the offseason, where it was I'm in on Pacheco because they didn't address the running back position. And if he can't beat out Kareem Hunt, who is cooked himself, then Isaiah is doubly cooked. Yeah. I don't even know what else to say. Yeah.
Doubly cooked. He's well done.
He's exactly.
He's Kirk Cousins cooking steaks on the grill. Do you guys recall that picture?
I do remember that.
Kirk basically turned them into
they were tough.
Charcoal.
Yes, they were tough pieces of meat when you got done with it. Yeah. All right. Next player up.
Okay.
Lad McConkey.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
I'm going to say patience with Lad McConkey.
Okay. Yep.
My panic level, though, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, would probably be a 3.
3. Yeah, that's fair. It's funny because early on in the game on Monday night, this was around, I think it was the first quarter, it was 11:45 Eastern time. Neither of you guys got that joke. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Nope.
The game was really late on Monday
Okay, got it.
11:45 Eastern time.
Okay, got it.
In the first quarter.
Yes.
A lot of laterally.
Yeah.
And then as the game progressed, a lot of Keenan Allen. And then another Quentin Johnston touchdown, baby.
Dude,
let's go.
Yeah. That's brutal. This is exactly what I didn't want for Lad McConkey.
I'm too happy for Quentin Johnston to be disappointed about what it means for other people.
So Lad McConkey's ranked as wide receiver 19, give or take. He's a top 20 wide receiver for all of us this week.
I've got him as 28, but yeah.
You have it 28?
Unless that's misprinted up on the screen.
Wow. Okay, so then are you more panicked about Lad McConkey? Yeah, that's what it says.
I've been having I got a new computer. I've been having some ranking issues, so it might have been a flub. So
here's the thing. Quentin Johnston's wide receiver 7 on the season.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen's wide receiver 13. Lad McConkey's wide receiver 37. He's not seeing end zone targets.
Yeah.
It feels like he's I don't want to say he's the third option in this offense because he's not. But what I think has happened is they've just opened up a bigger passing attack. And because of that, Quentin Johnston has a role. Keenan Allen's not going away. The ceiling for Lad McConkey with where we drafted him isn't there with him being potentially a high-end wide receiver 2 as though he was drafted to be. So I think the wrongs will right themselves, but I do believe that this is a problem for me. I do have a little bit of panic here at the beginning of the season.
That's fair. I think it's fair to have a little bit of panic because the target share we thought could just be monstrous coming into this season. The only counterpoint that I would make to the ceiling of where we drafted him is there have been a couple guys that have been good where we drafted him. It's not been a great stretch. Tyreek Hill's had 1 of 2 good games. Devontae Adams 1 of 2 good games. DJ Moore has been a disappointment so far in 2 games.
Higgins just took a hit.
Higgins took a hit.
Range,
it's
AJ
been
Brown's down.
a couple of the nice surprises. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins. Yep. It's been a couple of the nice surprises from that 25 to 35 range that I think have been the story amongst wide receivers.
For sure.
Yeah, those to me have been. I'm more concerned about the guys at the very top that have totally dudded than I am the guys who are that second tier of wide receivers who have been solid but unspectacular.
They've underperformed based on what I expected, but they haven't crushed you.
It hasn't been as jarring as Justin Jefferson 7 catches or Nico Collins 6 catches or Brian Thomas Jr.'s 5 catches through 2 games.
They get the Broncos this week, Mike. Are we going to see a Pat Surtain shadow anywhere?
I think if it is, it would be Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, I agree.
On the perimeter.
The big size receivers, yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that more about tomorrow. And I want to talk more about the Chargers, too. I will say this. The Chargers are a team that perhaps could support 3 top 30 fantasy receivers. Yeah. So I want to talk about that.
Everybody knows
more expanded role. Little
foreshadowing.
Yeah. We got to get people to watch the Thursday and Friday show. So we'll get there. But let's just say I have more thoughts on this.
I've got this very odd vested interest in Keenan Allen. And he's been a great player for a long time. But late career Keenan Allen. We play in this Dynasty League together. The three of us are 12 members. There's 6 of us. It was all ESPNers at the time. Now it's half ESPN, half former ESPNers. And I made this trade prior to last season. And I know it's going to sound ridiculous because people are going to be like, what do you mean? Like, that's a ridiculous trade. At the time, I'm telling you, like for a team on the up versus a team that was kind of rebuilding, I did my Javonte Williams and my Jerry Jeudy for his Derrick Henry and his Amari Cooper. So basically Derrick Henry, right? I mean, that's what really mattered. But at the middle of last season, I got an offer of Amari Cooper for Keenan Allen. This was when Amari was still playing pretty well for the Browns early. And so it was Keenan Allen plus, believe it or not, Aiden O'Connell, who I'm super short at quarterback, and I needed to fill in quarterback a little bit. Yes. This was when a couple things were going on. So Keenan Allen has become like a lifeline for me. I've got a great team in that league, and all of a sudden I'm like, did I just like snipe Keenan Allen for the cost of Amari Cooper? Now, Javonte Williams looks great right now. Jerry Jeudy was awesome last year. So this is the fun part about Dynasty Leagues is the value of these players. It's like driving through the hills. You never know whether you're high or low. And next thing you know, a guy who you felt like was going to be, foundation of your roster is no longer that.
Yeah. It's funny how trades work like that because I remember a trade you and I made, and at first it looked great for me. And then last year it went the other way. Now
Danny Dimes for ETN.
Danny Dimes for ETN. I gave you Dobbs and Danny Dimes for ETN, and year one was a huge win for me. ETN helped me to a championship. Last year, ETN was killing me all year long, and Danny Dimes didn't help you. But now Danny Dimes, I think you maybe traded him for something else, but nonetheless, now he's good. And
that was a huge trade piece for me. I traded Danny Dimes and a couple of picks for Bajan and Drake London. So I got a handful of.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah,
that was.
There's
a good
only
one.
like one untouchable player on my roster, Jake Bobo, but otherwise, I think I've traded everybody. I think I've either cut or traded everybody except for George Kittle and Jake Bobo.
Wow. This is everyone should play in a dynasty league is what we're saying here. Like get into at least one because it just changes the way you look at the game.
I love this league and big move. The original drafter of Josh Allen put him on the trade block.
Yes.
Grand form Edek.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm fascinated too. Yeah, I'm sure we all had a little chat with him. I know he's fielded a lot of offers.
It was a great email. But listen, if you want to trade somebody, make sure you send a good email to go along with it.
He did like a whole press release,
fantastic.
Long thing.
What was so cool about a Josh Allen potential trade offer is that everybody is going to call.
Yeah,
right? Because whether you're this league is kind of bifurcated. It's kind of like half really good teams and half.
What is bifurcated?
Liz taught it to me yesterday.
I was going to say that's okay.
And then half, like it's kind of like half rebuilding / struggling, and then half like serious contenders. So all 6 of the serious contenders should probably make a call. The problem is, like Daniel made a gigantic trade last year. He's very short on draft capital.
Yeah.
Matthew he's in the league as well. He made a huge trade last year. He's very thin on picks. My team is good, but I'm old, so I don't really know what I can offer other than like literally every draft pick. So, Mike, you probably shouldn't trade for him.
Don't do that. Yeah.
All right.
We don't want you to do
convinced
that.
me not to. Now I'm thinking maybe I have a shot, but I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
We'll see.
I got 3 more players I'm going to rip through here really quickly. No, don't even worry about it. Travion Henderson. I know we've talked about him a bunch.
Yeah. Big panic.
Big panic. I'm still going to be patient on him, though.
I don't think you have a choice. I think you have to be.
You have to be. I expected more right out of the gate, and I think that's part of my takeaway. That's on us. Like, we just put too high of expectations coming out of what was a 100-yard kick return in the preseason and the idea that we saw him be super efficient for this Patriots team. I think that we just put too much on this kid's plate. Yeah. The reason why I'm not panicked, it's pretty low, is because it's Ramondre Stevenson in front of him. There is an expiration date, I believe, on how long Ramondre Stevenson is the RB1 of this squad, and it ends sometime in 2025. So while the season hasn't started the way that I wanted for Travion Henderson, I still feel like by the time that you get into the throes of late season and playoff pushes, that's when he is going to be rounding into form, which is why, sure, I'm frustrated. My frustration level is high, but my panic level is actually pretty low. It's at a 3 right now because I do believe he will become the RB1 of this squad at some point this season.
Yeah, I hope so. I think the big problem right now is Ramondre Stevenson is running more routes and has, in terms of pass blocking attempts, it's 23-3 in favor of Ramondre Stevenson. Not even close. They're just not trusting him in that situation. It's costing him target opportunities as well. Week 1 was good, but that seems like a fluke because week 2 he was just destroyed in terms of snaps, carries, passing down opportunities. It's rough right now. So I agree that he's a bench player, and at some point he could turn the corner. It might just take one more Ramondre Stevenson fumble, as we saw last year.
Yeah.
But right now he's not startable.
Nope, I agree with that.
Agreed on that. Yep.
All right. Next one I have.
It reminded me coming into the season of Rashad White and Bucky Irving last year. I was just checking out Rashad White's early games last year. He was more effective as a pass catcher than he was a runner, but eventually the tide started to turn to Bucky Irving. So maybe the same thing can happen over the next few weeks here for for Henderson.
For Trevion Henderson. All right. Next guy for me, Arthur Juan Brown. He has been awful. Like literally awful to start the season.
50 yards in 2 games is not good.
It is not good.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We knew that this was one of the things that happens with the Eagles offense. They're one of the lowest passing heavy attacks in the NFL. They run the ball so unbelievably well. They have the 3rd fewest pass attempts and 2nd fewest passing yards to start the season. Only the Cam Ward-led Titans have fewer passing yards than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
So it's just not been a great start. However, this is part of the devil you dance with when you draft A.J. Brown. We know this. He's a top 5 skill position player at the wide receiver spot, but he's not a top 5 fantasy wide receiver because he's not on an offense that will help sustain that kind of volume. So I have no panic on him. All the patience in the world, but it has been a really frustrating start to the season.
Really, no panic?
Panic level of 1. I got no panic on A.J. Brown.
I'm similar, maybe a 2, but pretty close. They have 0 passing touchdowns so far.
Yeah.
Last year, 42% of their touchdowns were passes. That's going to level itself out. We've seen that.
A little bit,
already.
yeah, for sure.
And overall pass volume is down. They haven't had to throw the ball that much so far this season. So I agree. I think the offense is very good. They played the Chiefs, and obviously the Cowboys were sitting in too high zone, as we talked about last week, that whole game. So better days ahead. And by the way, he hit a 41% target share in week 2. As long as that continues, he's going to be okay.
If he was on a team that had him getting 11 targets a game, I think he'd be a top 5 wide receiver and we wouldn't even think about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's just not on a team that does that. So this is part of, like I said, you drafted A.J. Brown where you did rather than him being a wide receiver 1. He's a wide receiver 2. And now I've lowered him a smidge. I think he's wide receiver 15 for me this week because of that.
Yeah. By the way, Akella Witherspoon, Rams top corner, out for the season. Yeah, presumably out for the season. He's on IR. I don't think he'll be back. So one less player for them to use to stop the Eagles' passing game. That's going to be a good one. The last time the Rams and Eagles played was the Snow Bowl in Philly, where the Rams almost came back and ended the Eagles Super Bowl bid. So it'll be fun to see this game.
Heck yeah.
NFC Championship game last year. That's right. Maybe a rematch coming this year.
No, that was the Commanders, right? So it was
Divisional round.
Divisional round. There we go.
Yeah.
Last one for me.
Okay.
This doesn't feel good.
This is like, what, your 9th one?
This is my 5th one. Evan Ingram is huge panic level for me.
Yeah.
I waited at tight end on a lot of leagues, and there were 2 guys that I drafted, and it was T.J. Hawkinson and Evan Ingram.
Oh, boy.
And neither one of them have panned out
how's
at
Juwan
all.
Johnson doing?
He's great right now. It's him and Jake Ferguson that I grabbed off of waivers, and I'm starting both of them over these guys. He's not the number 2 pass catcher like we thought he was going to be in Denver. I think that's Troy Franklin instead. He has 6 targets for 4 catches for 33 yards. There's way too much Adam Troutman being utilized within this Broncos offense. I did not expect this to happen. Evan Ingram, I think, is no longer startable. He should be on benches. And if you tell me I need to drop him in order to pick up somebody else, I kind of feel like, okay, I totally get it. You can do that at this point, but what a major disappointment for me right now, 2 weeks into the season.
Not playing.
Yeah, the hard part about this, and I'm going to sound like a broken record, is for all the TJ Hawkinsons and the Mark Andrews and the Evan Ingrams, there's just no solution that you're saying to yourself, like, good thing I have, this person on my bench to take over for him, right? It's such a wasteland. David Njoku has become a borderline starter. So I think Juwan Johnson and Harold Fannin have entered the conversation of guys that should be considered, 12-team starters.
I think Jake Ferguson's in that conversation as well now.
Jake was in that for me coming in.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jake was, I think he was drafted as like tight end 9, so he was right there. But there haven't been that many new entrants into the ring. It's really Juwan Johnson, Tucker Kraft, and also Harold Fannin.
Yeah, Tyler Warren probably is the only main, because Colson Loveland isn't doing anything right now. Like anyone that drafted Colson Loveland thinking they could use him early in the season, you're just not going to get that.
Yeah, maybe we should have seen that coming with his age and the target competition there. Maybe he'll turn the corner, but he has to play more. First of all, much like Evan Ingram, who's played 37% of the snaps, which is
for Loveland. He's so young, you mean?
What? Loveland's young, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
21.
Okay.
No. Yeah, Loveland's young, so maybe we should have saw that coming. Is my point. Ingram, I don't understand what's going on with some of these tight ends. By the way, quick shout out to you, Daniel. I think it was Sunday morning, maybe 12 something. I saw an edition. I think it was in the Fantasy Focus League.
Yeah.
This is the morning before week 2. Daniel Dopp adds Troy Franklin.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's a random addition.
Wow.
Great call.
Thank you.
Way to get ahead of that one.
24 fantasy points. I did not get this script. I had him in our Dynasty League as well. And
what did he go for in the Dynasty League? Was he on Fab?
It was like $4. It was something really cheap.
8:24, Tyler said you added him.
8:24 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, great job.
I'm hoping that right now it seems like he's the number 2. It's not Evan Ingram. It's not Marvin Mims. It looks like, and I said this
to number 1
to Field. Yeah, right. Like they are manufacturing touches for him. He has 5 catches behind the line of scrimmage. They're finding ways purposefully to be able to put the ball in his hands, and they're still taking some deep shots. So
he was a tricky one on waivers this week. I ended up not getting him a lot just because it's like I don't know if I'm like if I have a spot for him in some leagues. He wasn't like he must have, but also as I wrote about in the playbook, which comes out tomorrow, is like. Maybe he's the guy we look back on and is like, that's the breakout no one saw coming this year. Like it could be there's going to be a handful of guys like that. So
almost no one saw coming.
Almost no one saw coming.
Honestly, though, this is like beginning of the season is the worst for waivers because you're at a spot where you're saying to yourself, week 1, 2, and 3, am I really going to drop this person that I just invested this draft pick in to be able to grab this person off the waiver wire? And you do more mental gymnastics trying to figure out, can I do this? Is this the right decision? Like, or should I continue to wait? I need to wait on this guy, right? Because I used a 9th.
Like Evan Ingram. Or
like
Mark
Evan
Andrews
Ingram or Caleb Johnson. Like there's a lot of guys that were drafted, top 100 that it's like, shoot, I'm 2 weeks in and I might be 0-2 and I got to change some things up already. Right. So I think early season is always the hardest on waivers.
Yeah, sure is.
All right, just to quickly recap, my panic or patient's names were Isaiah Pacheco, fully panicked, Ladd McConkey and Travion Henderson and Arthur Juan Brown. Have a lot of patience for those guys. And then I am back in on the panic meter, unfortunately, for Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Oof.
Yikes. All right. That's going to do it for our Wednesday show. Come back tomorrow. Mike, you said the playbook is going to officially be out on the website tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning. Yes, sir.
Love it.
We'll dive into our week 3 preview part 1, as well as preview the Thursday night football game. This is always a ton of fun.
It's the Bills versus the Dolphins if the Dolphins show up.
Yeah. I don't. And Mike's.
I'm going out to dinner, folks.
Yeah, is that what's going on there?
$20. What can you get for $20 these days?
You can buy a Connor Fields jersey.
All right.
At the PLL store.
Okay. Look at that.
Well, it just fits well, so I'm going to do it.
Please don't.
You can have it.
Field, don't. You need that back, Field.
I mean, I'll get it back eventually, but if you want to wear it for the rest of the day, I'm not stopping you.
Wear it for the rest of life.
Wow.
That's going to do it for us today.
Later.
Make sure you love each other. Don't forget to love each other. Be kind to yourself, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. See ya.